This edition of Early Look, I'm going to be previewing the UFC 331 co-main event between Arman Tsarukyan and Mauricio Ruffy. My name is James Lynch. If you've never watched the show before, I'm going to go through a bunch of different stats and numbers and everything else, and then at the end of this, I'm going to give you my prediction for this fight. Let me know in the comments which way you're leaning on this one. I'd love to get your prediction from you, and we can discuss this fight. Of course, it was supposed to originally be Charles Oliveira. In steps in Ruffy on somewhat short notice, not really short notice, a little bit of short notice. And let's do a quick tail of the tape between these two. This is a 5-round fight, even though it is the co-main event. Van and Pantoja is the main event. And if we look at it right now, you'll see Arman, 29 years old, 30 for Ruffy. 5'7" to 5'11", 72.5 to 75. So Ruffy going to be the bigger fighter, but Arman a year younger. And records-wise, Arman with 23 fights, 23 wins, 14 wins for Ruffy. Let's start first with Arman Tsarukyan and take a closer look at this fight. So I mentioned it there, 5-round fight, going to be taking place at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. He is 23-3. He's got 9 knockouts, 6 submissions, and 8 decisions. Currently ranked number 2 in the lightweight rankings in the media rankings, and currently ranked number 2 in the meta rankings as well. Mentioned it there, 29 years old, 5'7" with a 72.5-inch reach, so he's only 1 year younger than Mauricio Ruffy in this fight. By the looks of it, he is training at Santos Studio for this camp. That's the Jackson podcast. That's where Hamzat Chimaev and Brennan Allen and a lot of fighters, Khalil Roundtree, train. He has got Fight of the Night 2 times. He's got Performance of the Night 4 times. He did not have an amateur debut, went straight to the pros in September of 2015, made his UFC debut in April of 2019. He is 10-2 in the UFC. He's got 5 stoppage victories. Some notable wins include Joel Alvarez, Beneil Dariush, Charles Oliveira, and Dan Hooker. He's only got 2 losses. One of them is to Islam Makhachev, which was a short notice fight in his debut back in 2019. And the other one is Mateusz Gamrot in a fight where a lot of people felt like that should have gone the other way. And I'll talk about that fight in a second. He's had a couple layoffs throughout his career. That's sort of what he's been known for. If you go all the way back even to the OAM fight, the Olivier Aubin-Mercier to Ramos, there's a 357-day layoff. Going from Charles Oliveira to Dan Hooker, there was a 588-day layoff. And then if we're going just from Dan Hooker as far as a UFC fight to this fight, there's a 301-day layoff. So yeah, a lot of layoffs the last couple of years, especially ever since the pulled fight from Islam back in January of 2025. If we go by his RAF fights, obviously very active in that promotion. If we go by the Colby fight, it'll be 63 days from the Colby RAF wrestling match, and it's 49 days from his grappling matchup against Ankit. Back in the beginning of the month. So I just wanted to point that out too. Arman hasn't had any major injuries or layoffs or anything along those lines. I mentioned the one close fight he did have. That was the Gamrot fight. If we go look at that fight on MMADecisions.com, you'll see that there were a number of people who felt like Arman deserved to win that fight. That was back in 2022, UFC on ESPN 38. And you'll see there, majority of media members did score the fight for Arman, 48-47. They just have 7 scoring it for Gamrot. So just something to keep in mind. You know, his one loss is the debut loss to Islam. His other loss is a loss to Gamrot. Something to kind of point out there. Let's look at his stats. Significant strikes landed per minute, 3.85. His striking accuracy is at 50%. His striking defense is at 54%. He does get hit a little bit. Takedown average is 3.26. His takedown accuracy is at 37%, and his takedown defense is 75%. Sub average is 0.1. In the fight with Dan Hooker, you got 2 takedowns. You got 2 takedowns against Oliveira. Got 4 takedowns against Joaquim Silva. 7 against Ismagulov. Gamrot ended up getting 6 takedowns on him, just 1 in that fight. So you'll see almost every fight he gets a takedown. 10 takedowns against Matt Frevola. So we know he can get the takedown, but if you look at it, some of the better opposition like Charles and Dan Hooker, yeah, I guess we could put him up there. Only 2 takedowns in those fights. So something to keep in mind, because obviously the ground game is going to play a big role in this fight. That's everything you need to know about Arman. Let's go over to his opponent, Mauricio Ruffy. And you look at it there, 14-2 record. 14-2 record. He's got 13 knockouts, no submissions, and 2 decisions. Currently ranked number 7 in the media rankings, number 10 in the meta rankings. He is 29 years old, 5'11" with a 75-inch reach. So he'll have a 4-inch height advantage and 3-inch reach advantage in this fight. Big thing with him, obviously, a couple fights back or a fight back. Left the Fighting Nerds where he'd been there his entire UFC career. Is now over with Alex Volkanovski and Joe Lopez at Freestyle MMA in Australia. So that's something a bit interesting. He's got Fight of the Night 2 times. He as far as his accolades and stuff, he's got obviously Performance of the Night, Fight of the Night, that type of stuff. Made his MMA debut way back in 2016. Made his UFC debut back in May of 2024. And so Arman obviously in there a little bit sooner than him. He's 5-1 in the UFC. He's got 4 stoppage victories. He's only got 2 notable wins, really. 3, I guess I should say. He's got the Fiziev win Michael Chandler, and King Green. So the three sort of notable wins. The most notable one I would say is Fiziev. Chandler, I mean, that was kind of it's only notable because Michael Chandler's Michael Chandler, but he's 40 years old and he was a minus 540 favorite. He was supposed to win that fight. The King Green fight, again, also a big favorite in that one, minus 480, Bobby Green plus 360. So keep that in mind. Fiziev, and then his only loss is Benoit Saint-Denis in a fight where he got dominated in that one, and even the stats back this up a little bit. If you go look at Ruffy's stats, Saint-Denis outstruck him 17-5, so that was kind of a tough night at the office for him right there. Pretty active, though, as far as his fight career goes. It'll just be 97 days between the Chandler and Arman fight. This will be his third fight this year. Already beat Fiziev earlier the year, and then the Chandler fight in June. And he's mainly fought twice a year since his UFC debut. So much more active than Arman, especially over the last couple of years. He's not had any close fights. The decision he did have against Lion Top was pretty decisive. And if we look at his UFC stats, you'll see there's significant strikes landed per minute, 4.19. Arman is a bit lower than that, as you can see there. 57% striking accuracy, 59% striking defense, so doesn't get hit that much. Takedown averages doesn't have any. He's at 0. Takedown accuracy is at 0. His takedown defense is at 86%. That's certainly going to be tested in this one. In a lot of his fights, Saint-Denis got 3 takedowns on him, but that's it. So he's only ever in his entire UFC career, someone's only been taking him down 3 times, and that was Benoit Saint-Denis. Again, really good performance there. So something to keep in mind. We don't have, I think, any odds up here yet, but I did do a quick search on Twitter, and right now I found the opening betting odds has Arman at minus 400, Ruffy at plus 300. If you look over on Tapology, that tells kind of a similar story as far as how people are picking. 88% of people picking Arman, 12% picking Ruffy, just 7.2% by decision, majority taking him by submission, 76.7%. You've also got 16% by KO TKO. Ruffy, 92% of the people picking Ruffy are taking him by knockout, and just 8% by decision. What is going to be my pick for this fight? I'm going to be going with Arman Tsarukyan. I'm going to go with the odds here and going with how most people think. And I'm going to go a bit of a later submission. I'll go like 3rd round submission in this one. I think it'll be a little bit later than the Saint-Denis fight, but we'll have to see how that ends up going. So why am I going submission a bit later? Well, a couple reasons for that. So if you look at Arman, while he does have a great ground game, it's the least amount of method victory for him. So only 26% of his wins, just 6 total, are by submission. He's got more knockout and more decision wins. So that's another reason why I'm leaning a bit of a later submission in this one. Arman's last KO win was in December of 2023, so he actually hasn't had a lot of knockouts like recently. And Ruffy hasn't been KO'd since 2019. Ruffy also has only been submitted 1 time in his career. So again, I think it'll be a little bit later in the fight. Ruffy's striking is dangerous early. He has a puncher's chance, obviously, but especially with the speed and kicking game. But Benoit Saint-Denis exposed, in my opinion, some holes in his defensive grappling that Tsarukyan is even better equipped to exploit, in my opinion. Tsarukyan's wrestling should be the biggest difference. He averages over 3 takedowns per 15 minutes and has constantly controlled elite opposition. Tsarukyan has also fought 5-round main events before, while Ruffy has never been tested over 25 minutes in the UFC. I'd also argue that Arman's fought way better opposition. You look at the names here, for the most part. Let's forget all these RAF fights, because again, I don't think the competition there is good. Dan Hooker's been ranked for a while. That's a good win. Oliveira's a great win. Dariush, he's been finished in the first round a bunch of times, but still ranked. Joel Alvarez is a win that has aged quite well, even though he's in a different weight class. Like I said, the Gamrot fight, people felt he won. He's been ranked for a while. So I'd say overall, he's fought better guys. He was in there with Islam. And remember, Islam didn't finish him in that fight either. So I think that's a badge of honor as well. Huge step up for Ruffy. Again, his only 2 really sort of notable, like as of like 2026, the only 2 notable opponents he's fought really are Saint-Denis and Fiziev. King Green, I know, has been kind of, all over the place, but he's not really a contender. So I don't think that tells us too much. The other thing I'll mention is that Arman's striking has become much cleaner since it's been much cleaner over the years, for sure. His ability to mix takedowns with boxing combinations should be very interesting. So yeah, like I said, I'm leaning Arman by submission in this fight. I think that's probably how most people are picking. Again, even Tapology has it there. But I just will warn people in this fight, we did see Arman get clipped in that Joaquim Silva fight. I know there's a couple fights back. Ruffy does have devastating knockout power. Arman's got to be careful here. Don't mess with fire here. Arman's best method here would be to go for those takedowns. Again, he didn't get a ton in some of his past fights, but he's got to go for those takedowns. He's got to work that ground game. If he stays striking, I think he'll be comfortable. You just got to worry about that power, because if you look at Arman's past opponents, Dan Hooker does have knockout power, but you're getting a much older, battered Dan Hooker at 35 years of age. Charles, same thing. Again, Charles does have knockout power too, but again, we're getting a older Oliveira at 34 and someone who, again, who had some setbacks as well. Again, Dariush does have some power too. Joaquim Silva, like I said, of all guys, did clip him in that fight. And then outside that, well, Alvarez has some pretty good KO power. I'll give him that. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, he hasn't, I'd say Ruffy is the most devastating striker he's fought probably in recent memory. I know Oliveira's on that level too, but I think Ruffy's right up there as well. So just something to keep in mind. I think if you are going to be betting Ruffy in this fight, you take him by knockout. I don't think he wins any other way. But like I said, I think Arman submission is probably your best bet. So let me know your pick in the comments. Actually, let me put it this way. Who's picking Ruffy in this fight? Who's taking him? Who thinks he gets it done? And is anyone not taking him by knockout? I think if you are going to pick him, that's typically the method of victory. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching. This is Early Look. I'll talk to you guys soon.